Okay, I'm gonna give it a couple minutes and then I'm gonna start talking. Something I have to talk about here. So you see the name I gave to the video. That's the name of a video that was shared with me today. It's just short of a 3 hour long video. And I watched right around half of the video. I got disgusted, I got sick, and I seen right through this crap. And as much as I hate to see this, I see why so many men are falling for this. And it's well done. I mean, I got to give the guy credit. Well done. He told lots of truth. Hell, for the first 40 minutes, he done nonstop truth. He just didn't address the actual cause. Oh, yeah, he gave you the cause. The cause was all symptoms. Symptoms. He didn't even talk about social engineering so much, though he was talking about social engineering. Okay, it was very well presented, and I can understand why lots of men that are suffering in the dating scene looking for a solution are running down the rabbit hole with this because you're asleep. I hate to say that. There's so many people in the manosphere that are actually not awake to what's going around in the world at all. They don't want to believe the truth when the truth is presented to them, and they keep looking for a magical cure. And this guy just came along and gave you a bunch of fluff and stuff. And he did a really good professional job of speaking. I mean, and I don't disagree with everything he said at all. I mean, he did tell a lot of truth, especially in the last first 30 minutes of his 3 hour video. He gave you a lot of truth. He really did. But he really gave you nothing more than MRAs gave you. He just reworded it. That's all. He just reworded it. He wants you to believe that if you take a tablet, kind you can keep in your pocket and a pen, and you go out to a club one day and you write the date down on it. The next day you might go to a mall. The next day you might go to a store. The next day you might go somewhere else. But you visit the public and you start looking at couples, and you observe the couples and you write down what you see in couples that are together, and the woman and the man, how they dress, how they behave, blah blah blah, and do this for 6 weeks, and then do an overview of the whole thing. That you'll be able to learn where your mistakes are, and a lot of it is using, well, he's using the chemistry of the brain and biology, and I'm not going to go into breaking all this down for you now. Okay, I'm going to do more on this, but I'll tell you what, where he's leading you is right back to where you've always been led. He shot down PUA. I was happy to hear that because PUA, pickup artist industry, is fraudulent. It always has been. Yes, it's a big industry because it was problem reaction solution created by the government. MRA, men's right activists. One more time, funded and controlled by the entity, by the powers to be. And he tells you, well, we can make all these go away because all you want is a woman in your life. He even went as far as telling you that looks, money, and stats has nothing to do with getting a woman. Now, there's some truth to that, but a whole lot of bullshit to that as well. Because, of course, across the board, 100% of women don't always use them things. But the majority of the women do. Your workplace does. That's right. I can give you some examples on a workplace. Matter of fact, I'll give you just one blatant example. And it wasn't even a woman, okay? Is what we would call a Chad, a good looking young man, okay, who the women would most likely be chasing after. Who did have a girlfriend, and she was pretty good looking too. Okay. Well, he started on a job. I was working there. He had been there 6 months. I'd been there a year and a half. They had an opening for a supervisor position in another department next door, the one I was working in. He knew nothing about that department, never worked in that department, ever. And a guy that was in that department for like 13 years applied for the supervisor position that they were going to bring in. And so did this young guy who had only been here 6 months and never even worked in it. So who do you suppose got the position? The young man that had only been here 6 months. And the guy that had been there 13 years that knew every job in that department, well, he was told he had to train this young man to be his boss. There's no explanation for it other than his looks and his age for the reason that happened. Okay? You all know, and you all know, I mean, I'm sorry. If you don't know it by now, you probably never will be. Sure, not everything's based on looks, stats, or money, because nothing is 100% across the board. Because some people don't fall for the social engineering. But let's talk about something else he talked about. If you want to get a woman, outside of the chemistry in your brain, and there's lots of reasons for that, they're all NWO related. Okay? But let's talk about the familiar things that he talked about. One of the familiar things he talked about was, well, right in your face, the male bashing in your media. But of course, he didn't address about where it came from and why they do it. That would be a root cause. He didn't address any root causes. He only talked about symptoms. Okay? Remind you of somebody? Should remind you of MRA. And he was going out of this book from this Dr. Brian Gilmartin. Yeah, the Inceldom. Now, how convenient. We got a psychologist with a bachelor's degree who has specialized in the dating arena that just happens to write a book, okay, the Inceldom. And for those who are asleep, they don't understand. First off, if you write a book that bucks the system, like Zachary Hubbard done, and he tried his best to get it published, and he couldn't get anybody to publish it. Well, there's a good reason you don't get books published that tells too much truth. Because it's controlled like everything else by the powers to be. Has to be approved. If it says too much truth, it will never be approved. Well, of course the Inceldom was approved. Because after an hour and a half, it's so clear in your face where he's leading you. He already talked about it pretty much where he's leading you. Oh, well, it's you were ridiculed and put down and blah, blah, blah during your childhood. Yep. Oh, you were bullied, blah, blah, blah. And these things affect your brain and they affect the biological chemistry in your brain. You know, I'm not going to use his exact wording. I'll take and rip as I downloaded this video. I'll rip it apart and pull some parts out and let you see it with your own eyes for any of you that have watched it. Okay, he clearly made it plain and clear that women are not picky, that women will date almost any guy. But it's because of our body language. Because your chemistry in your brain's off that you represent a body language that turns the female off sexually in 1 to 5 seconds, huh? That's right. Because she's so good at reading body language. I mean, she is so good at reading body language that she already knows And you don't see him addressing the female issue outside of he talked about a woman with toxic behavior on a brief, but it was very brief. Okay. But remember, I only went an hour and a half because I got disgusted because I recognized where he was taking you. Don't worry, I will see the other hour and a half. But I wanted to say something here because it's so obvious what this Dr. Brian Gilmore is doing, or Gilmartin, not more, Martin, is doing. He has wrote a book, and we all know that they've wrote TFL into Incel, when TFL and Incel are not one and the same and never have been one and the same. The topic is related, but they're not the same and never have been. But everybody just disregards that and throws it together anyhow because they think they have the right to change whatever they want. Even so, even if they're wrong, they don't care. They just do it anyhow. Isn't that right? Isn't that how it goes? I got this black spot in the middle of my cam again. Give me 1 second. I'm going to wipe it again. We'll see if this does any good. Okay, nope, still there. Okay, I don't know what the heck that is. It's not on my monitor neither. Maybe it's on the other side of that plastic cover. I don't know. I have to go buy another cam, huh? Because I'm noticing that black spot right there. And I wiped the cam before and I just can't seem to lose it. Sometimes it don't show up and other times it does. Maybe it's time to replace the cam. Huh. May have to do that. But just the same, when he tries to convince you men that females aren't picky and that females will almost date any guy. Another thing that caught my attention right away is you got to be part of a social group. You got to fit in. His own advice. Because being part of a social group is also the attraction to the female that makes her want to be around you. Well, there's some truth to that and there's some non-truth to that. Because as I said before, nothing's 100% across the board. But they want to lead you to believe that this applies to everybody and it's all straight across the board when it's not. Never has been and never will be. But he tells you, you got to be part of a social clique. Got to have your friends in your group to socialize. I agree with some of that. But that's not necessarily 100% across the board. That's never going to guarantee you anything. He tried to say whether you're fat, you're ugly, you're obese, whether you're geeky, weird, whatever it is, doesn't matter. The women don't notice that. That's a crock of shit. That's all lies. Every last bit of it is. I guess Girls' Rights What Karen Stroud said it best, huh? That there will be a significant number of men that will be isolated, pushed out, that no woman wants anything to do with. At least she told the truth and didn't lie to you. I mean, at least that part she did say the truth and didn't lie to you. Where this Arabic guy or wherever he's from that did this video that I gave the name of this live stream to, with the exception of the end, BS. Okay, and the reason I said it's BS is because it is. It's very fancy talk, well put together, well worded, to sell you right down the rabbit hole again. Because in the end, it's still your fault. That's right. In the end, guys, it's still your fault. You have to work on yourself. You have to work on yourself. You have to work on yourself. That's right. What does the woman have to do? Oh, not a thing. Oh, well, he did go in the last 20 to 30 years, basically the last 30 years. The roles have changed completely and women are in power now. He was correct about that. Women are in power. And women ain't about to give that up. Okay, they're not about to give it up. They want to power over the top of the other gender, even though no human being belongs having power over another human being. It is absolute corruption at its finest. But for all of you incel guys and TFL guys that are applauding this guy, telling you how well of a job he's done, like LMS, okay, you're sound asleep. You haven't educated yourself to anything. You're unaware of who's actually controlling our societies, of where these problems come from. Oh, well, this guy told us the problems. Hey, he gave you the same symptoms that's been promoted and talked about over and over. I mean, the men's rights movement gave you symptoms for years. He done nothing different but reword the symptoms. He used fancy language, fancy talking, as he was reading out of the book, okay, by the psychologists who used these fancy words and reworded the symptoms. That's all. You didn't hear him address the root cause. That's because they're not going to address the root cause. And if you don't address the root cause, you can never fix the problem. I don't care what advice this guy, this Dr. Brian Gilmartin wants to tell you in his books. He's going along with the narrative of the social engineering of our society that has deliberately been done. And as he's going through the book and he's telling you this stuff, he tells you that, well, so you got to fit in. You got to have your social network and whatever the trend is, regardless of how stupid and geeky, don't matter how stupid it is, how you disagree with it, how geeky it is, and how you may have to act. If you want to get a woman in your life, you have to do these things. What he's telling you to do is think with your hive mind in the jar and fuck individuality. That's what he's telling you. That you all got to think exactly the same and alike. That's what he's telling you. The Element did a really good video on this particular topic. Okay, I favorited it on my channel. Maybe you should watch it. It would be the perfect reply to this guy's reading this Dr. Gilmartin's book, The Inceldom. Do you suppose he wrote this book called The Inceldom by accident? No. See, the issue is this. People like myself and like-minded others who are awake to what's really going on in this world have been telling you the actual root cause. We've been pointing out the root cause, which is something MRA has never done. Pickup artist industry will never do. Something that very few people have done, we have done for years now. Pointed out the root cause, the root cause, the root cause. So I suppose that's probably why they wrote the book. Hold on a minute, I gotta get rid of a cat standing at my door. You're not coming back in either. So don't be beating on the door again and get out. Okay, just got rid of the cat. So the deal is this. Dr. Gilmartin, now we don't even know if he's a doctor because this has been a very, very, very overrated term on the internet. We have a whole shitload of people calling themselves doctors that ain't doctors whatsoever. Okay. You can Google this guy, which I did before I come up live. Okay. It appears he went to a college in Boulder, Colorado, up in Colorado, and got a bachelor's degree. He's got several books out, Love Shy. So they're all focused towards the dating scene. And here we go again. You know, I hate this time of year for this reason. Spider running across my wall. And I ain't allowing that. Took his ass out. Anyhow, so what we got is a situation where they're taken because we've pointed out the root cause, and there's several people online now talking about it. In the manosphere, well, we got hundreds of millions of guys all over the world living it. They're all coming up here. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to steer you right back down the rabbit hole. That's what they're trying to do. They don't want you focusing in on the root cause. They want you to believe there's a cure and that the problem is you men. You noticed how it's not the women? Now, there's some truth to the chemistry in the body being messed with. But do you think that that's just one gender? No, never has been and never will be. See, GMO foods. That's right. Big Pharma. Yeah, some of the drugs you're taking from Big Pharma. Your food industry, your canned goods, the can with the white lining in it. That white lining actually has a female hormone in it. And when they put the food inside the can at the canning factory, it's hot when it goes into the can. That heats up the white lining, which releases the female hormone into the food. You buy the can off the shelf at the store, you take it home and heat it up and eat it. Eat it, and if you're a man, you just swallowed female hormones. They've been messing with the chemistry in our body for years and years and years now, and not to just one gender. But if you notice, the hour and a half I did watch, he stays focused on one gender. And one gender, the man, still right back to the original narrative. It's all the man's fault. He's the one that's psychologically or his disbalance in his brain, and it's still your fault. Or he even went as far as Monday Forever Alone Monday. He went into the fact, well, when you was a child, man, you were ridiculed, belittled, and put down and called a loser as a child. And that would have definitely done damage to you, causing a chemistry change in your brain. There you go. He went into the bullying. The things, like I said, I didn't totally disagree with him. He made the statement that game, that the manosphere, you're supposed to be men. And in the manosphere, we're supposed to be men. And if you want to play games, you need to go to the park or the playground with the children. I don't disagree with that. I agree with that, yes. But he didn't address the fact that in the manosphere we're talking about games. Hold on. Did he leave out CNN and ABC and CBS and Fox and NBC and MSNBC? Did he leave out mainstream media who promotes game? Whenever they're talking about this, oh, yes, he did. Of course he did. He left mainstream media right on out of that, didn't he? What about to bring that up? And who controls mainstream media? Military industrial complex. None of you are smart enough to realize that the forms of media you're watching on television is controlled by the military. And the alternative media online is controlled by the military, who in return is controlled by the powers to be. Oh, yeah, that's really what they would be saying to Jay over there. Yep. Is that all of these men were abused as kids, or they were bullied at school, ridiculed and cut down at home. That's right. And because of our society we didn't want to accept because it's really hard to fit in, you know. Some of us just were awkward, man. We didn't have social skills, you know, and because we didn't have social skills, we didn't get into the social communities, you know, and we didn't have our little clique to run in, right? See how it's our fault, guys? It's always the guy's fault. As far back as it goes, it's the guy's fault, the guy's fault, the guy's fault, the guy's fault. It's all the guy's fault. Women are goddesses. They don't make mistakes, right? Isn't that what we're really promoting? So what do you think this video that this guy put up is promoting? Well, he's done a very, very, very professional job of coming up here and reading a book by somebody who has wrote a book for the powers to be for the think tanks to counter-react the truth online and to sell you right back down the rabbit hole. And people like LMS and other people I've seen in the comment section out of the manosphere who are not awake, who don't look into anything, that have a mirage going on in their head, an illusion, a bubble, run right down the rabbit hole with this stuff. So there they are praising this guy as being so good. So, but that's all right, let them. Because in about 10 years from now, when they're still alone, and they've tried everything that this guy has said, and they're slamming their head into the wall that I just don't get it. Well, that's because when people have been telling you the truth, you avoid and run from the real truth and keep going to the propaganda. And if you want to keep running to the lies and propaganda, expecting that to fix your problem, then you deserve the problem you have. I hope you do that with the mechanic. I think next time your car breaks down, you should take it to somebody that only cares about symptoms. That way you can keep paying to fix your car over and over and over and over and over. When your furnace breaks down in the wintertime and you ain't got no heat, maybe you can hire somebody to come down and just change a fuse. Of course, now after they left, the fuse trips again, you without your heat. But don't worry, you can pay them to come back and replace the fuse again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, until you pull your head firmly out of your ass. Excuse my language. But that's what that comes down to. Until you pull your head firmly out of your ass. Because the reality is the reality. And you're not going to change that. The reality is simple. Very simple. I've been telling you the truth for a long time now. I haven't sugarcoated anything, and I'm not going to start now. The guy reading this book to you in this 3-hour video has went down the rabbit hole right along with the rest of you. This stuff's not going to work. You're going to get to find it out the hard way. Unless you get damn lucky, it's not going to work. You're going to find it out the hard way. Our behaviors isn't coming from the chemical change. Our behaviors is coming from the propaganda that's been fed to you your whole life. And from your ability to lose care and not care about anybody but yourself. And from that word game. Because it's all about getting ahead for monetary gain. See, he even talked a little bit about that because he did talk about social engineering. He just didn't call it social engineering. He went along with what he wants to call the norms in society. But there's nothing normal about the behavior in society. It's all been socially engineered. Wrong is wrong and right is right, and I don't give a shit of 20 million people follow a wrong, it doesn't make it right. I don't care how many people believe something that's wrong and go out and do wrong behavior on other people. You can never justify it to call it right. It just means you got 20 million complete fucking idiots. That's all it means. 20 million fucking idiots, excuse my language. See, the real problem comes from social engineering, allowing a pack of criminals to control you, tell you what to think, what color to shit, how high to jump, excuse my language. Who the end goal is to completely do away with genders and individuality. That's right. The end goal. I mean, I think the really good video that you should go watch when you're through watching this live stream is from The Element. It's everything I've talked about for years, so let somebody else tell you it now. I favored a video by The Element today where he does a damn good job of breaking it down and telling you exactly what the agenda is and where you're headed. So here in the manosphere, this is where you're headed. This has all been socially engineered. And the only reason you have a book, The Inceldom, by Dr. Brian Gilmartin, is because the guy has gone along with the agenda. And he's reworded the symptoms that's been talked about for years, pulling the blanket over your eyes again, because he didn't tell you any root causes. He suggested a cause. When he talked about the male shaming, he didn't go into detail why the male shaming was there, but he suggested that led to some of these problems. Well, of course it did. It also shaped the female mind against the man. I mean, he did speak some truth. What do you as a guy have to offer a woman in today's society? Nothing. You ain't got nothing to offer her. But why should you have to have something to offer her? You know what you got to offer her, guys? The opportunity for her to steal your semen through manipulating you, to get children, so that she can use no-fault divorce to throw you away, steal your children from you, and charge you money for the next 18 years on every child you had with her. She can take your house, your car, all your belongings. She can destroy your life completely as she throws you away and not be affected by it at all. Because you fell for all the propaganda. You know, why would you want to get in a hurry to get in a relationship in today's society knowing full well you're going to be treated like a piece of dirt? You're going to be looked at lower than a piece of dirt on the ground. She don't need your emotional evaluation, you know. You ain't validating yourself to her. No, she wants emotional support. That's what she has her female friends for. It sure ain't you men. The majority of men in today's society are nothing but pawns being used. I hate to say it, but it's true. But I wanted to address this book a little bit. I'm going to spend probably the next couple of days, maybe the next week, ripping this apart, doing more research on this Dr. Brian Gilmartin, and seeing what else I can find out about this guy. Because it was very professionally put together, but it was done in such a manner that all we did was repeat the symptoms to you, We gave you a couple suggested areas of root cause, just a couple. Overall, we repeated a whole lot of symptoms, and in the end, we steered you back down the rabbit hole telling you it was your fault. That's right, guys. That's what we done. That's what he's doing. And so then you got these fools that haven't looked into anything like LMS running around doing TFL videos with his camera pointed at the sidewalk so you get to watch his feet and hear the clang, clang, clang because he's not too bright, okay? And pushing the same propaganda on you that he's got it all figured out now. Yep, yep. He knows he's going to be better and he'll be able to get a woman now because he went back to the same shit that's been pushed for years. What a joke. You know? And what did we do for the woman? Oh, well, that's right. We kept her right where she's at. She could never be at fault. You know if she rejected you, it's your own damn fault, guys. You know it's your job to please her. You know that you got to have your social network of friends, and you know that y'all got to think exactly alike. And whatever the trends is that they put out for the monetary gain in society that the female falls down on, you're going to have to fall down on her with her or she ain't going to want anything to do with you, right? As we do away with individuality. Because you're not allowed to be your own individual person anymore. Now you got to think with the brain in the jar, or you don't fit into society no more. And if you don't fit into your society, then who are you? You're nobody. You're worthless, right? Isn't that what they're really telling you? You're damn right that's what they're really telling you. They're telling you how worthless you are because you're a man. All this guy's doing is continuing the problem. He's going to read this book and brag this book up to you, and he's going to go right down the rabbit hole when all of you people praising him and giving him all these thumbs up. Well, that's because you're uneducated. You haven't looked into anything. You don't realize that he's telling you the same stuff that's been said over and over and over for years now. He just led you right back down to it's your fault. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some men who are at fault for their own demise. That's why I had two definitions for TFL. The self-produced and then the non-self-produced, the actual real TFLers that were actually forced by society and social engineering. But they don't want you to know about the social engineering and to be forced. They want you to think TFL is incel, and they want you to all believe it's your own fault. Regardless of what, guys, it's your own damn fault, and a woman don't have to change a thing about herself. Only men have to change anything about themselves. This is what they want you to believe, and that's actually what this book promotes. The Inceldom. I don't care what you say. He read enough of that book in an hour and a half. I already saw right through it. And I can guarantee you the other hour and a half is going to lead me right back down to why it's our fault. And how us men have to change everything about ourselves. You know? Well, you always got the person who says this person gets lots of girls in society. Well, I'm sure he does. He gets lots of drama. He gets used a lot. He gets treated lower than dirt and has lots of drama and lots of fights and thinks it's normal. And goes on to his next and goes on to his next and goes on to his next because he's in that clique that the females are chasing. So he's the perfect bank. He's the perfect sucker. Because meaningful relationships between couples are almost extinct. And as we go down the rabbit hole further, you're only going to go into a situation where we're doing away with genders. Yeah, none of that's an accident. You're going to do away with genders. That's why we have all these different genders now, to create mass confusion. You're going to do away with individuality. That's what they're working on. And then pretty much everybody will be becoming asexual, not having sex at all, not having mates, and everybody will be alone. That's actually what they want. That is the real end goal right there, is what they want. They don't want you reproducing. They don't want you procreating. They don't want you having kids in a family. They want to control the birth, people at the top. Because if they can control the birth, who's allowed to have a child and who isn't, then they can control the population. They can play God, and they can decide who gets to live and who don't. Yes, Jeff Ashton's right. Population reduction down to a specific number. They put it in your face. They gave you the Georgia Guidestones. It was never an accident. I don't understand how come people have so much trouble seeing this when they've been told it over and over and over and over. How come you won't even go look for yourself is just beyond me. It really is. I don't understand how you cannot want to go look for yourself. Oh, maybe it's because it's easier to have some guy come up here and read a book to you. And then you can say, yeah, that must be it. There has to be a cure to this problem. It can't be what they're talking about. I refuse to believe that my government would be bad to me. Yeah, I know that my government cares about me and looks out for me. That's your mentality, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I only got one thing to say to all these people that fell for this crap that I see under his video. Okay? Good luck. I think in about 10 years from now, you could be slapping yourself in the face. You'll be smashing your head into a wall as you realize that you had the word sucker wrote across your forehead and that you fell down the rabbit hole. And our TFL, our LMS guy, who's doing all these TFL videos with his camera pointed at the sidewalk, he's going to have a royal slap in the face when he gets woke up and realizes he was preaching nonsense. That the stuff he was preaching has been preached for years. They just reworded the same crap and shoved it back in his face, and he wasn't smart enough to know that's what they done. He thinks he has something brand new there. And he don't. He just fell right on down the rabbit holes, all that is. And that's what I'm going to say about this guy's video. I don't care if it's 3 hours long or not. I don't care how much research he says he has into this. Yeah, he has research into fluff and stuff. He spent a whole bunch of time reading propaganda and fluff and stuff, and more fluff and stuff, and more fluff and stuff. He wasn't looking for no root cause. Because if he spent all the time researching like he told you, then how come you can't figure it out? How come it can so blatantly be in your face and you can turn your head and look the other way and look for another reason to justify what's happening right in your face? And he goes, well, this is just normal. No, there's nothing normal about today's society. Unreal. It really is. You know, it's sad though. It really is. It's really sad because you're going to fool yourself into believing that you're going to cure the problem. That's why I laugh at this guy when he says, this is basically what he's telling you is here is the solution to MRA, men going their own way, Incel, TFL, Forever Alone. That's really what he's trying to sell on you. That this is the solution. This is going to make it all go away. No, it's not. When you're not going to change a thing, because he sent you right back down the rabbit hole. It's all your guys' fault, right? The women had nothing to do with this, right? It's only you men that need to change yourselves, right? All the responsibilities right back on you guys. You do know that, right? The women have no responsibility in this at all. Nope. Couldn't hold them accountable for their actions, now could we? Oh, that's right. And they for somehow don't have chemical imbalance in their brain. That's only men that have that. So women, they don't eat GMO food, even though they, are processed foods and GMO foods. Bullshit. I smell big bullshit alert when it comes to that crap. And you should have really caught it when you heard him say how women ain't that picky or choosy and that women will date almost any guy. Doesn't matter who the guy is, the woman will date him. As long as he has a social clique and he's going along with society has told him to go along with and thinking with the brain in the jar. That's right. And don't have a chemistry imbalance in his brain. What a crock of shit. I seen this and it was like, really? So you've gone as far as taking the same BS that's been going on for years, rewording it, making it fancy, and selling it back to the manosphere, and leading them right back down to blaming themselves. And now these idiot men, are running along like LMS, pushing this stuff, thinking they're so smart and they have the magical cure, when all they're doing is regurgitating the same shit that's been regurgitated over and over for years and not smart enough to see it because it was reworded. So, it's funny how all you got to do is take the same words that MRA pushed for years, symptoms, okay, and reword the same word, make it sound more professional and fancy, and spend the time to do that, and then come up and do this professional speech and put it in a book wrote that way so that this clown could come up here and read it to you and use that fancy words and make himself look all intelligent and say how many years he's been researching this stuff for years and he's had his ups and downs in the dating scene and because he's researched it for years even. And when you look at him, he's not that old. So what's years to him? 5 years? 10 years? What's years to him? Because he's not that old to begin with. Hey, but he's done a number, man. He's fooled you. He has sold the same propaganda right back onto you. And you think you have educated yourself. You think you have the sudden cure to TFL and MRA and Forever Alone and Incel, and you're going to cure the problem now, and you're going to have a woman in your life, and your life is going to be great, and you're going to be happy because she's going to treat you like a man, and you're going to treat her like a woman, and yep, you got all this fantasies going on in your head. And in about 10 years from now, you'll be slamming your head into the wall. And that's only the ones that make it. I'm sure some of you may get so frustrated you do it. I don't like to see you doing it off yourself as you're giving up. When somebody's been telling you the truth the whole time. But all that is to sell you away from the truth. That's really what this book's about. Is to sell you away from the truth and back down the rabbit hole. So you take your pick. You can either go with the raw truth and accept the fact that it's been socially engineered, there's no accident about it, and who your real enemies are up at the top running your president, who your real enemies is, or you can go right back down the rabbit hole and keep blaming yourselves, guys. So you tell me which one you pick. Keep blaming yourself or start looking for where the problem really come from. So you take your pick. And I'm going to get out of here. And I am going to do something on this again in a few days. It's going to take me a little bit since it's a 3-hour video and I want to watch the last half of an hour and a half before I do anything with it. And then I'm going to rip out what I need. Then I want to do some research on this doctor, Brian Gilmartin, and see what else I can find out about this guy. A little bit of background history in this guy, who he might be related to, if there's anything to find. That's what I figure I'll do. And then once I've got enough research on this guy and got the last half an hour and a half watched and ripped out what I needed, then I'm going to put something together and I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to show you what I found and where we're at. But I can tell you, just from the first hour and a half, he's selling you back down the rabbit hole. It's going to be your own fault again, guys. That's where he's taking you. He's doing it in a polite way like Forever Alone is. To tell you it was something that was out of your control because when you was a child, you might have been ridiculed and called names and cut down and bullied and picked on and, you know. But it still comes back down to that. You know, I see LMS as a lie has come up and made a video at me and Steve Hoka. Well, you can walk on down the sidewalk and you can complain and run your mouth and promote this propaganda that's been around for all these years, LMS, okay? Yep, I see he just done that. You can promote that propaganda and you can blame yourself and you can say you've got the answer and that we're full of it. And in about 10 years from now, when you're still all alone, everybody's going to look at you and laugh because you were the one that didn't look. See, he's not researching anything. He's just running mouth. Oh, yeah, well, that's correct. Unfortunately, you know, I'm not about cutting the genders down. I'm about corruption. And I understand what's happened to the genders, and I know why they're doing what they're doing. But honestly, what did you expect? You can't go for decades placing the opposite gender above yourself, turning your head and looking the other way to every wrong she ever done, pretty much, and allowing ill behavior done onto yourself by females, and men throwing other men under the bus and in front of a train for the validation of a female, and continue to do this and expect anything different than what you're seeing going on now. I don't understand where you think you're going to get a different result. You know, now LMS, I'm sure, is upset because I'm doing this live stream talking about this book, okay, and what this guy has read to you and telling you if you're even a quarter of the way awake to NWO, or at least halfway awake anyhow, you go listen to this guy's video as he's reading this book, The Inceldom by Dr. Brian Gilmartin. You fucking listen to what this guy's reading out of that book and pay attention close, and you're going to hear the same BS being spilt but reworded. In the end, it comes down to it's still the guy's fault. That the guy has problems that has to be changed. We're not going to talk about where the guy might have got the problems from. When we want to talk about the chemical imbalance in the brain, well, don't worry. Yeah, there'd be some truth to that. But it's not just men. Somehow women wasn't on this planet, wasn't affected by it. Bullshit. You know, and this BS of what Dr. Gilmartin has wrote, it's just what it is. It's BS. He's using fancy techniques to resell you right down the rabbit hole. And then you could be blaming yourselves again. You know, then that puts to shame everything that you've heard, you know. Hell, even Karen Stroud, girls' rights what? At least she was honest enough to say that there's going to be a significant number of men that women won't want anything to do with. Ew! You already know how that is. Oh, but don't worry, it's not about looks. How many of you men have experienced a woman going, ew? How many of you men have had women say, God, he's ugly, or he's a loser? And they don't even know the person. They looked at him in 1 to 5 seconds. How many of you men have experienced that? And then they're going to turn around and tell you it has nothing to do with looks, money, or stats, huh? Well, how is it when she didn't know you in a 1 to 5 seconds? Well, but see, it's the chemistry in your brain, and she was able to see that. It was your body language. Really? So you was there to see that and know that, huh? No, you wasn't. A bunch of damn idiots. You fall for anything that's fed to you. It's not true whatsoever. No more than it is true that it's 100% across the board. Because nothing's 100% across the board. There are still good women out here who clearly see the corruption and don't anticipate in it. The sad thing is they won't involve themselves to speak up because they don't want to be attacked by their same gender for speaking up. Some of you know, there's women out here that don't get into social groups and social cliques. They find the guy they want to be with, that's who they're with, and they don't pay attention to anything else. And that's where their life is at. But you won't see them women because they're not going to come out and start speaking up. You know, it's just sad that I've had to see this thing go so far, you know. And then when I see, you know, it's like, well, you know, I'm going to get off this live stream, and here comes a video posted up by LMS towards myself and Steve Holka. Well, you know, he's thinking he's so smart and he's so talented and so skilled. He's going to be over there ridiculing us and telling you how he knows, and he's going to be selling you Dr. Brian Gilmartin, the Inceldom. He's going to be selling you the same bullshit that's been sold to men for decades now. And he's got it all figured out, you know. Somehow he's going to do the same thing that's been done for decades, and he's going to be successful. Yeah, he is. He's a successful idiot who hasn't looked into a damn thing and is sound asleep at the fucking wheel. He's just so desperate that he thinks he's got it all figured out, that he's going to just fix the world overnight, you know. LMS is going to fix the world within a decade. Every guy will have a woman again, right? Maybe there'll be 10% that won't have a woman. But at least 90% of all the men will suddenly have a woman in their life, and we'll all be happy. And we'll be breeding, yeah, right? And there is no such thing as New World Order. NWO. The Georgia Guidestones is a cartoon. They don't give us vaccination shots to help change the chemistry in the brain. No, there's no Monsanto's or GMO foods or processed foods. Matter of fact, there's no such thing as cancer. There's no such thing as a plane. And who'd ever said there's a car or a truck? What are you talking about? A horseless carriage. I know I'm being ridiculous now, but when I see ridiculous, I just sort of try to act like the ridiculous ones being ridiculous. Because it's so clear in your face, they're selling you right back down the same bullshit that they've sold us on for years now, guys, and that it's the men's fault. And then you got these idiots falling into this shit, going right back to blaming themselves. And then you got LMS who just knows he's a professional video maker. He has this video pointed at the sidewalk, and you get to watch his feet walking down the walk. And every now and again, he'll show you his face. And then he'll feed you a bunch of propaganda because that's all he believes in is propaganda. Because he knows he's magically going to make the same shit they've been promoting for years work. Even though it's done nothing but get worse and has never worked, somehow he has a mirage going on in his head that's going to suddenly work. So he has to call me and Steve Hoke out. I haven't even watched it because it just went up. He has to call us out on he knows. He's so smart. Yeah. I think it's pretty hilarious because he's going to find out in a few years from now how screwed up he really was. How he was just running right down the rabbit hole. How can you turn your back to the social engineering, or you just think you're going to magically change it? So what, has LMS got the power to overturn Hollywood and stop all the male shaming? Well, you know, why didn't girls' rights what? She's a female running the men's rights movement. She was fighting for men's rights. How come her and her feminist female buddies didn't go down there and picket Hollywood? How come they didn't get thousands and thousands of people picking Hollywood about the male shaming? Why didn't they try to stop the male shaming? Yeah. You see how much they're on your side, guys? That's because they're not on your side. They've never been on your side. They're not on my side. They're not on your side. They're not on nobody's side. Okay? It's all engineered. It's all deliberately done. But I can see that we made an impact because now they've had to write this book called the Inceldom and have this so-called, bachelor's degree psychologist who specializes on relationships and love give you this book so that the suckers could fall down the rabbit hole with it. Anyhow, with that being said, I'm getting on out of here. You have a good one. And I'm going to work on this other stuff I told you about and do a little research on Mr. Dr. Gilmartin. With that being said, I'm out of here. You have a good one.